Hey, I'm Lisa Singer. I am the Senior Editorial Director of Brand Insider, and this is Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential women marketers today. And with me is Norel Mancuso, and she is the CEO and co-founder of Social House. Hey, Norel.
Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
I am good. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you.
I have to make a comment about your background there. Very cool. Yes, you're centered right in the middle of this swoosh, so it's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's a bit of an artistic take on an
Yes, definitely.
abstract piece, I suppose.
Yes, you fit in there with the black shirt with the black background. You work perfectly. Although I'm going green and green, so
Yeah.
I'm a little bit that I'm a little color coordinating as well.
Excellent.
So, well, I have to say, well, as I always say, I do my snooping. And on LinkedIn, you posted that you used to think starting an agency would allow you the freedom to be yourself. And you said I was right. Well, you went on to mention in what ways. So I want to use those what ways, but I want, instead of being about starting an agency or about your agency, I want it to be about the freedom to be yourself personally. So the
Mm.
first question I want is one of the things you said, dress how we want. Okay, so what is your go-to style?
Wow. So I have to admit, I do love black, as you can see here. I have always operated under the philosophy that our client should be the color. So I like to wear black during client meetings. I also like to wear black in my personal life. So it's just been one of those things where I like to see others as the color, but I love wearing black. I love how sleek it looks and minimalist.
Yeah.
And I always thought that, your outcome is always determined by your approach. And part of my approach has always been being fully myself, and this is part of that makeup, that DNA that makes me who I am.
Yeah. Well, it definitely gives you a vibe, like it suits you. I mean, I actually like black as well, but I don't think I look as cool. Like I'm not saying I don't look bad. I'm not trying to get compliments. But you just the hair, the glasses, the color black, it just do you get people when they meet you, they make an assumption maybe even about your look before they actually get to know you. And then they find out
Yes.
later that maybe it's a little different.
Yeah, it's odd because you'd think that somebody that wears black is introverted, but actually I'm quite extroverted. I really do love talking to people, and I think people sometimes get a little afraid to maybe approach, but I'm such a listener and an observer as well. But I once you like kind of if I know that you're interested in talking, I'm an open book. So I think that's somewhat of a misconception with
Yeah.
the way that I've always kind of lived my life and the way that I present.
Yeah.
I do have tattoos, and it is part of my DNA of who I am. It's always been a very like artistic endeavor for me, but I think people get a little intimidated by that, but they don't need to. I'm really truly an open book, and I love talking to people. So, bit of a misconception there.
Well, it definitely comes off cool. So you might be like, "Okay, I'm not cool enough to be talking with Norel."
I want them to talk to me. I love it.
Okay, we'll remember that. All right, next question back to your LinkedIn post, or not question, but it gives you the freedom to lead with values. So what I want to ask you is what value or values do you cherish or live by the most personally?
It's a great question, and the answer is integrity. Without it, nothing scales. Not trust with your clients, not culture in your company, not strategy in the way that you're moving culture forward. And I hire for values before skill. And some people think that's strange, but I live by the principle that people don't want to be managed. They want to be a part of something bigger. And when they feel that way, integrity is always at the forefront. So I'd say leading with values for me, the value that I value the most is truly integrity.
Well, in a sense, when you said like hiring for values or someone who has integrity and not skills, if you think about it, you can teach skills. I mean,
Yes,
as long as it's a certain aptitude, which I'm assuming you
of
are
course.
hiring people who have that, but maybe you might have someone else who has a little bit more so, but not quite that the values or the integrity you're looking for. And that's who represents you and your community at work. And so
Ex-
I can see how that should take preference out of that.
I would take 50% efficiency for 100% loyalty and values. Why, you might ask? That seems strange to some people. I can train skills. If you have like a brain and the baseline of what I'm looking for, and I know that you have it in you to want to know more, I can train that. That's easy. We have workflows, we have processes for all of that. But training loyalty and training the value of integrity, that is something I can't train.
Right. It's just there. And if it's not there, you're not going to find it. So I
It's not going to
completely agree.
contribute to our growth.
Right. No, I completely agree. Okay. Next one. You have the freedom to always innovate. So, what's the most innovating thing you do, again, in your personal life?
Oh, in my personal life. Well, okay. So, as you know, I am the CEO of my company. So, it's a big part of my life. I'm an
Hmm.
entrepreneur as well. So, my brain never shuts off. But I will say that, I think that innovation is a process of trial and error. And in my personal life, innovation for me is constantly breaking away from technology. Now, that might seem counterintuitive to what we do here at Social House. We're a social media growth agency. But what that means is that I need to disconnect to reconnect. And when I disconnect, I find innovation in everything around me. Nature has a great way of showing me what the possibilities are if I just listen. So I know that sounds kind of woo woo, but it's true. Like for me to innovate, it's, understanding kind of the world around us, understanding the culture and the people and the nuances. That is where my innovative brain comes in. And then I apply that to my business and my daily life once I come back to work from my personal. But it's such a blurred line as an entrepreneur, as a
Yeah.
CEO. You are never off. You are always thinking. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to some people, but for me, it's part of who I am and who I've always been.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like even when I'm like, I can't say I'm a little bit entrepreneurial, but more in the sense I freelance a lot and I enjoy that. I like being a part of different things. But when I'm writing, I do that. Like I'll be running and something hits me and then I pull out my phone and have to record it because I want it to stay with me because a lot of times you don't think of it again if you don't go right to it. So I can
Yeah.
see how you, but in it sounds like for you it's even, double that. But it's you have thoughts, I think, when you're least trying to have those thoughts.
Yeah. And, I think movement makes room for clarity. And if you're stagnant behind a desk all day long or behind an office wall all day long, you can't make movement for clarity. So for me, innovation comes from clarity. It comes from pushing through the muck to get clear on what it is that you want to do next. So for me, movement makes room for that. So I have to keep moving my energy to meet new people, to go beautiful places,
Hmm.
and that makes room for new thoughts, new
Yes,
opportunities.
for sure. The more you experience, the more you're going to think differently or just new or whatever it may be, as opposed to staying in your one little zone in your cubicle, which I'm sure you don't have a cubicle, but
No,
put it that way.
no, I started in a cubicle. I'll tell you that much. But no, that was the death of me almost. So I was like, I gotta make
Yeah,
some changes here. But
sure.
anyway,
Okay, now the freedom to have fun. All right. What's the most fun you've had recently?
okay. The most fun that I've had recently, and this is gonna sound so cheesy. So please, everybody listening, Lisa, don't judge me. But it was actually last night. My wife and I made vision boards, which I don't know. My wife is very kind of into this thing and I love her for it. And we made vision boards of what we wanted our life to be. And I've never laughed so hard because they were so the same but so different. My wife is very into, things. I'm much more type A. She's not. So it was just fun. I think that the most fun I have is like literally every day with my significant other. We have a blast together and every morning I wake up and I'm excited to see her. So it's one of those things. I think I have fun every day, really. And yeah, my
That's
personal
awesome.
life,
How long have you
that's
been
her.
together? How long have you guys been together?
We've been together 5.5 years. We've been married for 3.
All
So
right. So it's not like you're still like, it's not like if you said a year, then I might be like, all right. You're in the honeymoon
No,
phase,
you're
but
in the honeymoon.
yeah, you're still, so that's so wonderful that you still feel that way. I'm curious, like, you were just laughing, like you said, you have a lot alike, but in a lot of ways you're very different. So
Yes.
how did they sort of go off where, like, maybe you're going this way and then kind of that way? Like, in what, maybe one particular thing that might show an example of that?
So mine was going into mergers and acquisitions and talking about VC work later on in my life and all this stuff. And hers was like getting another dog, buying an RV, traveling around, and all this other stuff. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is like such a different realm that we're in here together. And it was just funny. We have very different personalities.
That's a riot. So I'm all for the dog. Well, you can get the RV and travel to all your locations where you're going to do your talks.
That might work as well.
There you
That might
go.
work as
You're all
well.
set.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final one about thinking freely is, which that's what it was. I'm sorry. Thinking freely is the final one, which you actually put first in your list, but I wanted to put it at the end because I
Ah.
want to know something that you thought, or maybe things that you thought of that stifled you early in your career. And now you're open about it now.
I think early in my career, I stifled my instinct a lot, and now that, I realize that my instinct is my kind of like soul compass with what I choose to do and what direction I choose to go. I have learned to freely trust my instinct a lot more. And I think as we grow older in our careers, we continue to like kind of evolve and get more experience. We learn to trust our instinct a lot more. And that has allowed me to think freely and not just by the confined walls of what's around me. I have tried to break through all of those walls, not just before, like, not just when I started Social House, but even before that in my early life. I've never been one to kind of follow the beaten path. I've always kind of veered off and found my own way. So I think truly trusting my instinct because if I stayed on the beaten path, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I have in my life.
Right.
So,
So, and well, I think that your instinct again is going to lead you where you need to be. Because in terms of where you're the happiest or where you maybe what you do well and you need to let people know that. And I think by speaking up or doing what you feel is right, that's the only way you're going to share that and people are going to see that in you.
exactly.
So I
Exactly.
totally agree. Okay, well, you talk about when you opened what agency 2010, you opened Social House. But
Yeah.
prior to that, you were at Henkel, you were at L'Oreal. So let's go when you were graduating college and
Oh my
just
goodness.
getting started and what, even before getting started, when, your senior year, what were you envisioning for yourself? You mentioned you are an entrepreneurial person. Did you foresee that you were going to own your own agency or like talk about that in the path to here?
No, I did not. I actually went to UCLA. I was a comm studies major. I wanted to be a television news anchor.
Oh, okay.
That was my passion. I wanted to be on the news, and then I interned in that space and realized that was absolutely not what I wanted to do. So I had a shift in my mentality, which is good because I got it out during college. I figured out that wasn't the direction I wanted to go, and I got picked up in the beauty industry right out of college at Henkel. And I worked for a fabulous woman there named Kathy Alama, who was the VP of marketing, who took a chance on a file clerk. And that was me. I was just this is how long ago this was. I was like filing papers
Wow.
in the room, and she came in and asked me what I was doing, and I wasn't filing papers. I was drawing bottles and going into like different lines of products. And she's like, "Let me see that." And I showed it to her and I was like crying. I was like in my head, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired. She thinks I'm not filing the papers on time. But she said, come see me tomorrow. And went into her office and she said, I want you to switch to marketing from because I was in trade. She's like, come over to marketing. I want you to work with us and I want you working on our product development team as an associate brand manager.
Wow.
And I then started to find my path. So she really kind of took a chance on me and brought me into that space. And so I try to do that for people that come my way that I see that spark in as well.
What do you think seeing the drawing, and I'm sure she liked the drawing, but that's a big leap, like to go from file clerk and because you drew a bottle to go like,
Yeah.
did she ever say to you what she saw, or why she made that connection to move you to over to develop brand?
'Cause I wasn't thinking like a marketer. I was thinking like I understood the consumer, 'cause I was the consumer, and she wanted a perspective in that. So what I started to go into for her was trend research and cultural kind of understanding cultural trends, macro shifts in the industry, and I became somewhat of like a kind of like a trend researcher for her to really understand what's happening on the ground. And I was able to educate the team to make better decisions, to understand how things can be brought to life and how to reach that consumer effectively. So she saw that I was on the pulse of culture and what was trending, and I really had a passion for that. And what's so beautiful about the story is that actually when I left L'Oreal and I came back to LA, she ended up being my first client at Henkel.
Really?
So she really has, helped change my path and my trajectory as a mentor, and I'm incredibly indebted to her. And, I'm older now, and I just look back and I hope I can do that for someone else as well. That's just kind of my mission now.
No, that's amazing. And you don't always see that when people taking a chance on someone who doesn't necessarily check the boxes or fit what they think they're looking for or what not. So that she gave you that um, chance is amazing.
Yeah, not a lot of people do that,
No.
and I wish they did because there's a lot of good talent out there that gets kind of like overlooked, and they shouldn't. So at Social House, I'm constantly looking for that diamond in the rough, that person that sits in the coffee room a little bit longer just to perhaps talk to someone in senior leadership to learn a little bit more about them.
Hmm.
Those are the people that I'm looking to hire, the curious ones.
Wow. So and it's, I mean, the right there is just take notice. Be
Yeah.
aware of what's going on, especially as a leader. I mean, I think in any case, because then the younger person, whether younger or not, but just trying to learn from senior people, is taking notice and trying to, so it's really just observing and seeing what's out there, and for you giving those people a chance. For the person who's trying to be you, maybe they're seeing, okay, this is what she does, or so and so does.
Mhm.
So
Well,
it's
here's one more funny story I wanna share with you, Lisa, about that time in my life was that when MySpace had just started, and this correlates back to my experience at Social House, was when MySpace just started, which was a former platform. I would go to her desk and I'd be like, "Kathy, you have to see this. It's called MySpace. People can post on there and it's free. You don't even have to buy a billboard or anything." And she'd be like, "Okay, honey, go back to your desk, please. Like I'm busy, like go tell Bill or someone else that I worked with." And I'm like, "Ah, okay." And so by the time I came back from New York, I was like, she's like, "Are you still doing that MySpace, Facebook stuff?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "Okay, come on back, let's talk." So that's how that whole
like, all right, someone else is, it's picking up. Let's then go back to it. Is that that's fun.
Yes,
I see, I told you.
I told you, but yeah, I don't like "I
Okay, then.
told you so," so I never said that, but
Okay, well, so I want to go back to the same post that you mentioned, that I mentioned earlier, that you had done, and being the entrepreneur, starting your own business. And you went on in
yes.
that post to talk about as you said, the things you learned that you're free to do, but also you learned things that are really what made it successful, things that you did that needed to be done, but also there were challenges, and there were things that maybe
Mhm.
you didn't expect, or you just, those are again things that aren't the best thing about being an entrepreneur or starting your own business, but they're part of it. So as an entrepreneur coming to you today looking for advice, what would be the top two that you say, okay, do this to find, to really have a good start. Nothing's going to obviously guarantee success, but to really give yourself a good start. But also, what's that cautionary tale kind of thing as well?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, we're celebrating our 15th year next year, and, we have grown so much, including myself. I wasn't always perfect, and I think a lot of people are like, "I'm an entrepreneur, now I'm a CEO," but that doesn't mean you have the experience to be a CEO.
Right.
That is something that you need to learn. Just because you call yourself something doesn't mean that you are that. You have to live up to the title and learn what goes into that. And there's 3 things I've actually learned that I hope could help somebody else, and I'm gonna share them. The first one is that your business will never surpass your belief in yourself. If you don't think you can do it, your business will not achieve that. And I think when I started the business, I was like, this will not fail. We're going to scale this thing to a $30 million company. And we are, at that point, we've come up in a tremendous way. And, I think the second thing I'd like to share, Lisa, is one of the most important things, which is protect your future memories of yourself. Meaning bet on yourself with full conviction, but truly don't abandon your values or your humanity in the process. Treat others with respect. Treat others with kindness. Treat people the way you'd want to be treated. So protect your future memories of yourself and think about that like in however that applies to your personal life. However that applies to your professional life. I think that's such an important one that I had to learn the hard way. And then the third one I would say is trust your people. Trust your people.
You
And
bring
I
them
think
in.
I'm sorry?
You bring them in for a reason.
You bring them in for a reason, and it is so hard in the beginning because you're so nervous. You don't
Yeah.
know exactly how you're trying to figure things out. It's innovation is trial and error, right? So you're trialing and you're erring and you're trialing, but you have to trust your people. And that was a lesson that in the beginning I hadn't quite learned yet. But now, 15 years later, I 100% have changed. And that is a beautiful kind of thing that I'm very proud of is
Yeah.
being able to trust and let go and know that you hired them for that reason, as you said.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you can't wear, I mean, you wear a lot of hats, especially when you're starting your own company. That's just a given. And the people you bring in as well. But there's certain that are special, that's their forte. This is what they do really well. And if you try to squash that and change it, no, this is what's better, then again, why did you need them in the first place?
Exactly. And this is not meant to be like this is like not a plug, but I just want you to know that we have generated over 2.5 billion video views at Social House for our clients, 2.5 billion with a B. And that is not because I was micromanaging everything. That was because I let my team
Yeah.
be free. And
Yeah.
our senior leadership doesn't micromanage. That is a huge thing. We want people to be free, which goes back to what our earlier conversation was disclosing, is about thinking freely.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
want to get back up when you said you learned the hard way about
mm,
remembering who you are and who your young self is.
yeah.
Can you share an example? Like in what sense, how did you learn the hard way?
Yeah. Well, I started the company at 27 years old. I was very young. And when I started the company, I quickly took on some really high profile clients. We're talking like Fortune 50 out of nothing, out of a dream. And $500 I put it, we the people to incorporate. And when those clients came on, I had to scale and I was hiring people as fastly as I could, to the best of my abilities at the time. My co-founder, her name is Bree Hardaway. She's fantastic. She comes from Silicon Valley, and she and I would hire people, and I was not letting them be their best. I was not letting them kind of learn all the ways that they needed to do it to make it right. I was trying to control.
Mm.
And when I let go of that control, I realized things weren't so hard. So the pressure of working with enterprise earlier on was a big high stakes thing, and it is still. I mean, we're always constantly wanting to make our clients be the best that they can be. Our clients are our bloodline.
Yeah.
But I think that I had to learn some lessons of just letting go of the reins a bit, Norel. And
Yeah.
once I did, I felt so much lighter. And I think that great leaders create other great leaders. And I wasn't being a great leader in the beginning. I didn't know what that meant. I had to really do the work to understand exactly what a great leader is. And I don't care if you're an entrepreneur or if you're the CEO of like a large company, you need to remember that leadership and company culture comes from the top.
Yeah.
And if you're a great leader, that inspires so many others to do great work for you. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. No, and it's totally makes sense. I mean, I think also, as you said earlier, you're type A to your
Yes.
wife's not so type A.
Yes.
But type A's want to keep control. That makes you feel good, probably. Like that's, like you
We're
plan,
moving.
you're
We're
moving
doing it.
forward, you got this step,
Yeah.
next step. And that goes against, I mean, even though that's a perfect personality to start their own business, to lead a business, at the same point, it kind of goes against, okay, let it flow, or let go of some of the responsibility, not
Yes,
responsibility, but give someone else the reins to do certain things.
exactly. Exactly.
You're fighting against
So,
your personality.
yeah. And then when you learn to let it go, you'll realize how much better your life is. So, I like inspiring people. I think when you inspire people to do things, when you get people's minds thinking, Lisa, their heart starts to beat and then their hands start to move and they start to do work because they believe it. And all
Mhm.
we have is what we believe. If we don't believe that the mission is something you want to be a part of, or you don't believe that the mission is something you can contribute to, well, why the heck am I here?
Right.
So,
No. And you giving them, trusting them, that's going to give
yeah,
them the confidence that, okay, what I do have to say or do is valuable. And it's also
yep,
going to make that person want to do well, right by you, by the company.
absolutely.
They're going to invest themselves in the company as opposed to just being like, okay, I'm just going to, be the monkey and, do what I'm told,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
nobody wants that.
Pusher.
No,
Yes.
nobody
No.
wants that, and our retention levels are superior, like, but nobody wants to just be a paper pusher. People
Yes.
wanna to believe in something, so
Yeah.
that's very important
Totally
to me
agree.
too.
Very much agree. All right. I want to have little lighter here. What are you obsessed with? What's your guilty pleasure?
Oh my gosh. Okay. What am I obsessed with? Okay, a couple things. One, my dog and my wife. I'm obsessed with them. I think they're fantastic. I look at my dog every day. I have a Chinese crested. She's one of those weird dogs with no
What's her
hair, but
name?
her name is Cash, like Johnny Cash, who always wears
Okay.
black.
Yep.
And I would say that I'm really obsessed with, I hate to say this, but I'm a futurist too. So I'm obsessed with thinking about the future. I'm really trying to be more present. But I love thinking about what's next. And that's kind of like a sick thing in my brain that I can't turn off. It's like, what's gonna happen when this goes to this? Like AI is obviously a big topic, I think, in everybody's mind. And it's a
Hmm.
huge topic in mine too. So it's like thinking about the future. I'm kind of obsessed with that. And I'm obsessed with like fashion culture as well as beauty culture as well. I love beauty. I grew up in beauty, obviously Henkel, L'Oreal. Henkel owns amazing brands like Schwarzkopf, Kenra, Sexy
Hmm.
Hair, Got to Be Hair Care on the food, drug, mass side. I love beauty, so I'm obsessed with beauty, and a lot of people think that's very peculiar. When they look at me, they're like, "Oh, you're obsessed with beauty?" I was like, "I love it. I love the way it makes people feel. I love the way I feel when I look at it." And
Yeah.
my aunt was a hairdresser, so I constantly looked up to her growing up, and I don't know, I love it. So I'm kind of obsessed with the beauty world as well.
Very cool. Okay, that we would not have guessed. That could have been another people mistake about you when they first meet you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, final question. If you could hit rewind and relive just one day of your career, what would it be?
There was a day when we won the Playboy business, and it was very early on, and we won Playboy with an amazing woman named Kristen Patrick, who's now at Marc Jacobs.
Yeah.
And Kristen actually has taken us with her to many clients. We're forever grateful to her as well. She's always been really great to work with. But I would say that day that we won Playboy, it was my first big break. And I remember driving home, I was on the 110 going past downtown, listening to like M83, which is this musician that I really liked at the time. And I was just like crying, bawling. I was like, this all was worth it. This is like where I'm supposed to be. And we were with that client for half a decade, helping and changing and moving things around. And then we went over to PepsiCo with Kristen. So it was an incredible triumph for me. And that moment I'll never forget. And every client that we've had since, I have those flutters in my heart again too, because I'm just so excited to work on them. But I think that day was just the very first one. So it was very special to me.
Oh, that sounds awesome. And I totally get the crying, like, and I don't know, like, did you kind of feel like, what am I doing? But it's just like I've had moments like that in my career where it maybe is simple, but it's something that was so important to you that when you're alone, like in mine, like I can think of sometime in my car, and you just start crying. You like you're overwhelmed with emotion, and
Yes.
you kind of like sit there. Why am I doing this? But I don't know. Tell me, is that how you felt, or did you embrace it, or?
All I knew was that my life was gonna change for the better, and so all of the heartache that I went through getting there and all of the I quit my job at L'Oreal in the recession. People thought I was nuts. I just packed up a van and drove across the country. We put all my stuff in there, and I was like, "Forget it, I'm gonna just go," and, I was still following social media. It was something I really wanted to do, and then I was at a bar in Kentucky, and I wrote on a matchbook, I wrote "Social House," and I put it in my little pocket and kept driving. And that whole road trip, I created a business plan till I got back and incorporated. And I got to tell you something, Lisa, is that I had $507 in my bank account. Okay. And I put 500 of it to incorporate with my business partner, Bree Hardaway. We went down there and she's like, okay, this is your crazy idea. You incorporate it. So I did. I had $7 left in my bank account. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
And I was 27 and I didn't have anything to lose at the time.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I just going to do it. And then when Playboy came around, that was a game changer for us. And I just realized that my instincts were correct. So,
Wow, that's
yeah.
amazing. So I love that. So, oh my gosh, Norel, so fun talking with you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you, Lisa. It's been great speaking with you as well.
Yeah, and thank you for watching. And as I always say, if you have a amazing marketing woman that you want me to pull back the curtain on, please let me know and I'll do my best to get her. So thanks again for watching, and Norel, thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.